Hi, this is Anna, and this is Check It at the Round Table, where we discuss movies, books, music, and stuff. Today we are discussing Tonhon Chonlatee episode 8, peeps. And this episode, I am really trying to give Tonhon Chonlatee a really good chance, but they are really just absolutely blowing it. I don't know if it's just a GMMTV thing, or if it's just the scriptwriters. I honestly don't know. But this episode really did not help improve my feelings on this series. It basically starts out with Na, Chonlatee, Tonhon, I and Nai, Miriam, going to Chonlatee's house to watch over it since his mom's going to be away. And you kind of find out a little bit more about kind of the history of him growing up there. His mom owns 4 fishing boats, etc. And as the story progresses, Na continues to try to flirt with Chonlatee. I'd have to say the one character I did like in this episode was Na. Na was great. Honestly, if you are willing to do something when you know you have absolutely nothing to gain except the happiness of the person you care about, I think that's kind of admirable in a really weird, unusual way. But anyway, Na keeps trying to flirt with Chonlatee so that Tonhon will admit that he likes Chonlatee. At the end of the day, there is a huge kerfluffle over ice cream that Chonlatee is sharing with Na that ends up with Na getting punched in the face and Tonhon getting really upset and he does not know why he's upset. And I really love, again, Na in this scene. It was absolutely great in how he basically took Tonhon aside. Chonlatee marched over to the house upset and madder than a hornet, which I get because Tonhon is like the Gaston of the BL dramas. Okay, I really have a hard time with Tonhon, and I don't think that's going to improve as this series progresses because he really is the Gaston of the BL drama series. And why would you want to have someone end up with Gaston? You should run away as if Gaston were proposing to you. I've seen it on t-shirts. But anyway, and for those of you who are unfamiliar, Gaston is the character in Beauty and the Beast that was an animated film made by Disney back in the 90s, and it's not a compliment. However, Tonhon and Na go off to the beach for a little bit, and Na basically sets with Tonhon. And I love this scene where he sets with him and he says, Tonhon, you're upset because you like Chonlatee, and you don't know how to deal with the fact that you've never liked guys before, and why do you like Chonlatee since you haven't liked guys before? And he says, it really has nothing to do with you liking guys, not liking guys, etc. It has to do with you really like Chonlatee, and that is why you're having trouble with me right now. And then I really like how Na in this moment just kind of sits there with Tonhon and does not judge him, but also kind of helps calm him down and think about it from a different perspective. And Na's like, I, before meeting Chonlatee, dated girls because, those are who the people I was attracted to because of their personality traits. And for the same reason, I was attracted to Chonlatee because of his personality traits. And I did enjoy that part of Na and Tonhon's moment together. Tonhon basically says, Tonhon, you really care about Chonlatee, and you put on the kite that I had put me and Chonlatee's name that we went to the temple this weekend with your name, and that you loved Chonlatee, although you wouldn't say it to me. He says, Tonhon, you wouldn't have written that on a kite if you didn't really feel that way, but you don't know what to do with that, so why don't you just calm down about it and go talk to Chonlatee and see what's going on. See if you really do like one another, etc. I do not like all of Na's advice in this scene because I'm going, Gaston took over and it was a disaster after that. But anyway, Chonlatee and Tonhon have a discussion, basically. Actually, not a discussion. Tonhon basically comes in, kisses Chonlatee, they spend the night together. And the next day, they kind of talk a little bit, etc. Tonhon decides to make breakfast, which is very unusual for Tonhon. I mean, I'm going, this guy never cooks and he's cooking. And he decides to make sure that Chonlatee has everything in order for him. He tidies things up. I'm going, Tonhon is not the tidiest of persons. So this is an improvement. But my question about the whole thing with Tonhon and Chonlatee, from a completely, analytical standpoint, is this the way he behaves with all his girlfriends before he, dumps them? I'm sorry, not trying to be bad here. I'm just going, why are we supposed to believe that suddenly this guy who doesn't like gays and who really doesn't handle steady character when it comes to individuals and relationships is going to suddenly drop everything that he has done in the past and never resume it again? I mean, I'm sorry here, and I mean, hope springs eternal, but yeah, that's honest problem with this episode. Because I have a really hard time as a viewer believing that Tonhon would be in a relationship with Chonlatee simply because he knows that his dad and his entire family will probably try to run him over with a rail, as we would say back where I came from, if he was with Chonlatee, because then he wouldn't have that kid that his dad so wants him to have it, or at least not the way that his dad intended for him to have it. I mean, there are many same-sex marriage couples who have children, and that is a great topic, and I love the movies that include those in the films, like, for example, Mother's Day by, what's his name? Runaway Bride. Gary Marshall. Or if we talk about History 2, Right or Wrong, or I believe there's a Vietnam film as well, series that I don't know, I might be mispronouncing, but anyway, they have a child as well. And there are many shows that have children that are in the families of a same-sex couple. But, I don't think his dad is going to be particularly happy with his life choices should he decide to be with with Chonlatee. And I don't see Tonhon just, forgetting everything about his family and being okay with Chonlatee. And quite frankly, I think Na would have been a much better choice simply because Na is willing to do something when he has nothing to gain and absolutely everything to lose, which for me is the absolute litmus test of character. I mean, if you can do the right thing when everyone's watching and you're going to get a bright gold star, okay, so. But if you can do the right thing when you know that you have no chance and you still do the right thing, that's pretty admirable. And I really think in this case, I'm like, we're supposed to believe Tonhon's going to behave himself and, not cheat on Chonlatee, not run off with his horrible ex-girlfriend, not do any of those things. And quite frankly, some of us are sitting there going, I doubt it, because he doesn't have a very steady character. I do like several parts in this show, especially the scenes with Na. As the story develops, I also like how in this BL series, as well as many other BL series, which is one reason I personally like BL series, the characters are planning for the long run. Now with Tonhon, I don't think he's sitting there with his brain on going, I think I'm going to be, doing this, for the rest of my life with intellect. I do think that he has the intention to. It's like there's several scenes after he and Chonlatee get together where he's like, I'm going to be with you for life, and this is the way it's going to be. And the thing I really appreciate about Chonlatee is he's looking at him going, you don't need to promise me something that you might not be able to keep, because we don't know what's down the road from here. But, as long as you're with me, I don't want you cheating on me, and as long as you're with me, I want to know that you care about me. If you quit caring about me and you start cheating on me, then I want to know right away, because I don't want to be in a relationship. And the one thing I do like about BL dramas is they typically bring up these subjects a lot of times even before the characters start dating, which I don't mean it weird. Rom-coms don't really do this. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely loathe rom-coms, is because in my opinion, these are the kind of conversations that people should be having before they go out on a first date, which is really awkward and strange in our culture, but which slides very well into most BL drama storylines. And not because the characters are sitting down with a list of their, caveats at the beginning of the day, but just because, life happens and those caveats come to light before those characters start dating. And the one thing I did like about this episode of Tonhon Chonlatee is, yeah, they had this moment of passion, and you're going, oh boy. But anyway, at the end of the day, Chonlatee's like, I'm going to be in this for the long haul. Tonhon says he's going to be in it for the long haul, and some of us sit there and go, with Tonhon, it's like in Sabrina, the one that was done by the man who did Out of Africa, when the mother is talking about her one son, and she says, he's just got a short attention span. And with Tonhon, that's kind of how I found this. I mean, yeah, it's just, this whole series I had really great hopes for. The previews looked absolutely fantastic. And at the end of the day, I'm left sitting here going, it's really, I'm sorry, a B-rated Thai BL series that they didn't really put a lot of thought into, and that if you do try to be a thoughtful person, a lot of the characters in this show aren't thoughtful at all. I mean, Chonlatee is a cool person. He just happens to love Tonhon, and you're going, Na would be a much better person. Or, really anybody would be a much better person than Tonhon. And then, Na is a cool character. Interesting, cool character. I love Chonlatee's friend, who's the girl. She's absolutely really cool. And then I also absolutely love Chonlatee's mom. She is awesome. The rest of the characters I really don't root for, and I really had great hopes because I thought, it's the same couple from Together With Me. It's not the same couple from Together With Me. They just happen to be a couple in this movie, which is extremely confusing. For those of you who watched Reminders after watching the By Chance, you'll know exactly what I mean by that, with Pete and A, and then they're they're another couple in the other movie, and you're going, is this the same movie? Is this different? And then you've got Mean and Plan playing Two and Wish in that movie, and then playing Cantaloupe and Tin in the other. It is very confusing when they cast the couples in a new storyline as a couple, same setting with college, etc. And you're going, okay, segue. But anyway, so overall, I would give this episode probably a 4, which is pretty low for Anna, simply because I didn't like how this is progressing. I don't really like how we're all supposed to believe that Tonhon is going to make the ideal partner for Chonlatee after he's really screwed up his life with bad girlfriends, bad living, etc. And we're supposed to believe that, he's going to change and become the person he needs to be anyway, and justify his entire family and their beliefs. I don't really see that happening. I mean, no offense. It's like, yeah. But anyway, I do like Chonlatee in this episode. I also thought it was very poignant how there was one scene where whenever Tonhon gets upset, he goes to the sea. And I finally think I got why they put the anchor on his chest as a tattoo, and then he gave Chonlatee an anchor. Chonlatee means the sea, and Tonhon means a navigator. This is thanks to a wonderful little digression, which I left a podcast about, which you can go click the link and see, of a YouTube video that was done by a BL channel on YouTube about why they did not like Tonhon Chonlatee when they compared the book to the movie, and I have to wholeheartedly concur with every single point that they made. But anyway, the anchor is for symbolizing, I think, is where they're going with this. And again, I don't speak Thai, and I'm having to watch this with English subtitles. But I was sitting there tonight watching the end of this episode where Tonhon is sitting on the beach with his Triumph motorcycle. Really, the only thing about him that is cool is he has a Triumph motorcycle, and that's pretty lame if you can only say that the bike that they have is the cool item. But anyway, moving on. Tonhon has the anchor on his chest, and he also gave Chonlatee an anchor as a necklace Chonlatee's name means the sea, and he's basically, whenever he gets stressed, he goes to the sea, like a navigator. But Chonlatee is his anchor, which I thought was kind of a neat little segue. Again, we don't have a lot of time spent on that, but I still thought it was thoughtful. That's the one thoughtful thing that they did in this episode. And that was cool. The other thing is, with this whole series, I think they're doing like 12 episodes, I'm guessing. I'm thinking we have 4 left, and I certainly hope it picks up and really redeems itself in the last 4 episodes. That's all I'm saying. But Chonlatee really does kind of come into his own in these later episodes. I think it's because he realizes that he doesn't really have to put up with the junk that he's put up for with his entire life. The other thing is, although I will say their relationship is extremely rushed in this episode, which is another reason Anna has major trouble with it, they weren't like they'd never known each other. I mean, they grew up together from the time they were tiny kids until the one guy left for high school and college. So it's not like they're jumping into a relationship not knowing what the other person is like. It's just they're still jumping into a relationship with some huge, icebergs ahead that could really damage them. And the thing I really like with Chonlatee in this episode is when they do go back to the city, life is not easy. I mean, Chonlatee has to deal with Tonhon's ex-girlfriend, who, the one thing, again, the wonderful BL channel, which I will drop a link in the description because I really do agree with almost every video I've ever seen that this person does. I do not like the robot voice. I think it's because they don't speak English very well. That's my only guess. However, the one thing that I really did like about one of the videos she was talking about what she found that she didn't like in BLs. And she said one of the things is the toxic women. And, that is a very key point, because I think in a lot of BLs, it's like we have the toxic girlfriend who no one in their right mind would be with. And then we have the guy who goes and ends up with another guy and escapes the toxic girlfriend. I will say, though, I don't think this is just a BL thing. I mean, no offense here. I'm saying I've watched many rom-coms that at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, it really doesn't matter if you're watching a rom-com, a K-drama. Typically, the girls in the shows always are not shown in a very nice light. I mean, I will typically watch, I've watched several K-dramas, and I have to say, I usually really like the guy characters in the show because of their character development, and the girl characters, I'm sitting there going, yeah. And it's not because I'm bashing the girl characters, because the actresses who portray the girls, they can't help it if they're given really crummy scripts to work with for their characterization. But the thing is having some strong, cool women in BL drama, in Asian drama, in American drama, in, rom-coms would be really cool to see. And we're not really seeing a ton of that in film anywhere. I don't think it's just a BL thing. I do have to say the toxicity level of a lot of the women in the BLs is a little up there. Like, for example, Tonhon's girlfriend, I mean, she is just so toxic, you want to go put a waste dump sign on her back. I mean, honestly. And, as Chonlatee kind of comes into his own skin and realizes, who he is, I really liked how he dealt with the toxic girlfriend. Like, she comes up to him at the end of this episode, throws water in his face, and basically says that he is going to be the downfall of Tonhon because his family will never approve, and then asks him to go march around because she's a senior and he's a freshie. And he looks at her and goes, "Are you out of your mind?" And then he goes and grabs another glass of water from a person who's walking by and throws it in her face and says, "Leave me alone and just go figure out your own life first." And I really basically loved that scene with Chonlatee because he's finally getting a little bit of gumption on his own, and he's not so unsure of himself as a person. Now, at the end of the day in this episode, I think he's pretty unsure of himself. He has been treated badly at school because it's come out that he's with Tonhon, and he doesn't know how Tonhon's going to handle that. He knows he's probably not handling it well because he's not coming home that night to, their apartment complex. They live in a house with I and Nye and Miriam and them. But, at the end of the day, he's sitting there with his friend who think her name is Ping, and she comes over to spend the night with him just to kind of give him a hug and be there for him. And he says, I don't mind that they hurt me, but I do mind that they hurt Tonhon, and I don't know how he's going to deal with this. And, at the end of the day, I think that's a very good question. And again, another reason I love the BL movies is because it's not about, Chonlatee could have been sitting there saying, oh no, they've known that I'm with Tonhon. What's that going to do to me? What's that going to do to, me at school for next 3 years until I graduate? He doesn't do any of that. He sits there and goes, what is this going to do to the person I care about? And I know that to me is a really good thing to think about. And one of the things that, again, I really like about BL drama is that they don't sit there and think about themselves and obsess over what they're going to do. They sit there and ask, what are we going to do with the other person? What does the other person need? What are they possibly thinking or feeling? Or how can I make their world better? And that is a very good question to ask if you're in a relationship of any kind. And with that is my review of Tonhon Chonlatee episode 8. Check it at the round table. Bye!